Good morning and welcome to GM Tips. This is GM Rick here. Hope you're doing good, trying to stay cool in the summer. Unfortunately, sorry, you might see a little hair. But not meant to be that way, but hot summers are hot summers in Texas. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about a topic on GM Tips that we've mentioned before, and that is plots, or as I say, themes for your campaign. Now, I think this, in a lot of ways, will set apart whether you're the GM that does the same campaign every time, are predictable, use the same plots that everybody else does. I think, we've got such a big universe out there. We don't need to recreate every movie. We don't need to recreate every plot. And I think there's a lot of great things you can do. And I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and we were just talking kind of different plot twists and campaigns. And the great part about it is the sky's the limit in a lot of ways, but there's some really cool kind of themes that you can take a lot of different directions. And I'm going to hit high points on some of these different themes, plus talk some other side themes, and see, what is going to be the thing that's going to inspire you as a GM and what's something new and exciting for your players. Now, themes can go anywhere from, save the damsel in distress to set up a guild somewhere to find a lost treasure that will stop the world from ending to Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom or any of the other Indiana Jones movies. Romancing the Stone, where you got to find the girl and the stone. There's so much you can do, and as a GM, I think that's the thing that you got to think about is what have your players seen, and what do they want to see. Surprising your players is going to be something that I think will be very rewarding for you as a GM or a DM. I say them synonymously. Boy, that's just bad in the morning to try to pronounce. So DMs for Dungeons and Dragons, please don't take it wrong. I say GM covering the gambit, including you guys. Please know that I started out as a DM, so I understand the DM term, and I understand it is very much a trademark term of TSR, Pathfinder, TSR, D&D, and all the different families that have owned D&D. So I understand that. And I think I agree with a lot of people. A dungeon master is one thing. They're one level in my mind. A game master to me is a different level because it says you can do whatever game system comes up and run it as a campaign. And that's the fun part. So what are some plots? Let's hit a couple different theme plots, and then we're going to dig into where you can go with each one as we go along. Number one, a Waterborne campaign. Waterborne campaigns offer so much because there's so little land, and you really have to think outside the box as a player when you're not squarely set feet on the land. There are so many dangers to being on the water all the time. There are so many different unknowns, and especially for fighting type of characters, you're going to watch them go out of these steel tank armor setups to very light armor, unless it's something that's very light armor and they can swim in it for some reason, or at least sink and breathe the water. But then again, you got to take into account crushing forces. So waterborne campaigns can be on rivers, they can be on lakes, they can be on seas, they can be on oceans. They don't have to be a pirate themed campaign. That is one thing you can do, a pirate privateer campaign, where you are trying to reach status in the local captains or guilds. So that's one thing you can do. But there's a lot of things you can do with that. Sorry, Mini GM brought me something this morning. You guys get used to hearing Mini GM in the background. So that's one thing you can do, is you can do a water-based campaign. Now, pirates are the most common thing that people know of. You can be an explorer like a Christopher Columbus. Now, I know there's negative connotation there, so I'm not saying you have to go in and kill the indigenous. You just are exploring. You're reaching out, finding new places and new people to talk and work with. So that's another thing you can do, is the water explorer. You can be looking for lost sunken empires or ships, so you can be a salvager in what you do. You can be a person that goes island to island searching in search of certain types of lost or forgotten lore. You could be searching for a forgotten sky city that used to fly in the sky that fell. I know in Faerun they have a ton of those, as they do in Golarion with Pathfinder. Different cultures, different people, but it's really cool that they have it so you can go out there and try to find those things. You may be going to a monastery that has some lost knowledge that a bunch of you are monks that you want to learn arts and techniques. There is so much you can do around the theme of water. You can be waterborne patrolling, or you can be on the thing of stopping bandits and privateers, or you can be the bandits and privateers. So there's so much you can do on a waterborne campaign. Really, it's the sky's the limit. The only difference is you're not sitting on land. But remember, waterborne campaigns take into a lot of things. Number one, storms and weather. Number two, the waves and the tides. Number three, what's in the water. Number four, can you breathe the water? Number five, how deep is the water? Are there reefs? Are there things you can run into? All these things play into this. Are there a Scylla and Charybdis type of creature out there that your characters are going to run into if they go exploring too far? Will they be the Sinbad of the Seven Seas? There is so many things you can do with a waterborne campaign that it is never boring, because the area is changing all the time. Where they're going is changing all the time. They're covering large distances, or even maybe short distances, in a short amount of time. And that's a cool thing if you think about it. So think about those kind of things and ask yourself, are my players up for something like that? They'd have to take skills or professions that allow them to sail, and they'll have to specialize in it. So in D&D, you'll have to do a sailing skill as an alternate skill, navigation or sailing. In Pathfinder, there's already a profession for that. In other types of deals, so say you're in a post-apocalyptic world, you can also do the same type of thing. You can do a water world theme. You can do where a world is almost 95% water because it's flooded due to the climate changes. There could be lost cities and avoiding radiation to do these type of things. You could do a Numenera. So in Numenera, maybe there's other cultures on this water world that you want to reach out to, and lost knowledge and things that you can learn, and lost tech. There is so much you can do in a waterborne, and it doesn't limit you in any way. The medium is the sky is the limit. You are an explorer. You are a privateer. You are the captain of your own ship, or you're the crew of your own ship. It's an exciting time, and it never grows dull. Every week, the campaign can take different twists and turns that on a landlocked area of a world, you may not get all that variety. And that's the great part about it. You get to come up with all kinds of water encounter tables and island encounter tables that you normally wouldn't have. So that's the first theme that I'm talking about today, is water and what you can do in a waterborne campaign. Now, I guess you could take and say the plot. I'm just hitting the themes right now. And the themes, I think, hold a lot to you writing a good plot. How about a all-winter campaign, i.e. what I'm running right now? Characters can be trying to save the world from another freeze or another ice age. They can be against frost giants and other creatures of the north that want to bring death and destruction to the settlements in the area. They can be against a white dragon who's targeted the people of the area to turn them into their stock or their herd stock to eat. You can be doing a lost civilization that was buried in ice, that you're trying to find all those different things and things that were lost by the civilization that maybe turned the area to ice, that you could move it back the other direction. You could be looking at another nuclear fallout where the world is just thrown into an age of winter, and all you have to do is try to survive and grow things and watch out for the different creatures that are out there that are trying to survive the winter with you. You can be doing a campaign where you are fighting the forces of winter and the winter fae, and they want to take over the world. They want to turn it all to ice. Or maybe you're trying to make a treaty with the summer and the winter phase. So kind of a Harry Dresden type of theme out of the Dresden Files with Jim Butcher, where you are the knight of one of the two courts, or your party are the entourage of one of the two courts of Fae. There are so many things you can do with these topics with winter. The great part about it is you've got the winter storms, the ice, the very harsh conditions, the cold temperature, and what it does to affect your players, them having to have certain types of spells or items to stave off this type of oppressive cold. You could be doing different types of creatures like mammoths. My players love the mammoths. Oh my gosh. They named one even. They took it from a frost giant who was riding it, and they have their own mammoth now. And it's pretty exciting. And so there is so much you can do with these type of campaigns that allows you. Now, you could even go back to a tribalistic, very barbarian-based deal where you have shamans, barbarians, minor clerics, and they're a tribe trying to survive the rigors of the north. There's just so much you can do theme-wise, and you just have to think outside the box with these things. And that's one of my favorite things. If you haven't noticed, I'm a creative, okay? I'm an engineer, yes. I am logical, yes. I am uber creative, and I love different themes. So for me, coming up with a theme is half the battle. The planes, planner travel. Some people have done it, some people haven't. And there's so many planes that you can do in the campaigns. Now, this can be even in a modern sci-fi thing where you are skipping planes of reality to try to reach maybe a solution that's saving your dying world, or find out who's invading your world. Tortured Earth is on a whole rip in reality type of theme. And that's a cool thing when you think about it. You can go out to the astral plane, so you can do like disembodied travel, spirit travel, where your characters are faced with having to deal with spirit travel. You could be doing on a Deadlands a travel into the great unknown, where the native shamans go to meet their spirit quests. And these are kind of cool ideas that it takes you away from the norm, and it makes your hack and slash players really think about, how do I deal with the situation when I don't have a body to fight with? That I am a disembodied spirit form of myself or projection of myself. How do I deal with combat? How do I deal with negotiation? How do I deal with even interaction? There is so much you can do with planar travel. You can base them going into a whole plane, so like the planes of the Nine Hells, or the Abyss, or Pandemonium, or all these other different planes that are out there. How do you survive? How harsh is it on a human or on a living creature's body? What do I have to do to survive this? What kind of spells do I need to know? What is my end goal? Am I trying to stop maybe the machinations of a devil lord? Or am I trying to stop the four horsemen of the apocalypse from returning? There are so many things you can do with this that really take it outside of the norm. Sorry, I hate when my camera lags. But hello. Boy, my camera's lagging big time. Sorry, guys. So these are all things that you can do. Now, there is a whole other medium you can go to, the desert, the opposite of the ice and the plains. So you're out in a desert campaign. What are you doing there? Maybe you are going to find a lost pyramid. Maybe you have a civilization that is being buried into sand that you have to help. Maybe you're trying to stop an Ifrit or a Jinn from doing something. Maybe you're trying to stop star sand creatures from taking over a world that's a desert world, so kind of like a pitch black. Maybe you're doing something where you're trying to terraform a world from a desert world. Maybe it's a Star Wars theme where you're trying to find a lost person of significance that could turn around the control of what's going on in your time and stop the Imperium from taking over everything. There are so many different themes here again with the desert. Now, the great part is you get to play with the sun, the harsh deserty-like conditions, water use, dehydration, sandstorms. You could have firestorms. You could have other types of things that just really terraform the environment and make it more interesting and dangerous. You could do a dune theme where you have the sandworms and you're trying to get the different spices that they're using to transcend. And so melange is what it's called. I was looking for the word in the back of my mind. As you can tell, I've wrote blah, blah, blah. Tongue work this morning. Read so many different books that it's amazing. And that's part of it too, is you're reading these books, write down ideas. Try not to do the book, because most people can read the book, but take some ideas from the book. That's okay to take those ideas and build around them. So then we had water, we've had ice, we've had sand. How about the jungle? The jungle is not a common theme. And the great thing about a jungle-based empire, and I love them because they got a whole one on both Faerun and on for D&D, and also on Golarion for Pathfinder. You can have lost civilizations and empires. You could have an area that's been flooded by a major storm that has not stopped for thousands of years. So you have both a little bit of water and jungle mixing together. You have all the diseases that go along with it, all the dangers and the snakes and all the other things that thrive in that type of environment. You have the different tribal cultures. Will they be friendly to me? Will they not? Will I be seen as a conqueror, or won't I? Am I part of one of those tribes trying to stop people from coming into my land? It's amazing how primitive it is, but at the same time fun. There are so many things that you can do with these type of jungle empires. You can have the evil spirits, the evil ape gods, the evil, all kinds of things that go bump in the night. It makes great for a horror campaign. So even with Call of Cthulhu, being lost in a jungle and coming across an old ziggurat of a temple that, what's this doing out here? Why is it here? What hidden knowledge is there that would drive me crazier in a loon? There's all kinds of stuff you can do with these type of jungle campaigns, and don't be afraid of them, because the jungle adds a lot of spice. You got tropical storms, you got typhoons, you have just drenching rains, you have hot savanna type of conditions, you have different creatures that thrive down there that you wouldn't find in other environments. You have lost empires that have been overgrown in time by the jungle, which reclaims everything. There is so much you can do with this. And the great part about it is you don't run out of ideas, really. These type of campaigns. So I've gone away from, you notice I've stayed away from the normal jungle and stuff, because, or the normal woods and regular terrain, because a lot of campaigns are already written around those. You can do them. Don't give despair there. You can be a merchant caravan or a bunch of traders trying to set up trade with different countries. You can be Savannah Plains people who are hunting for a lost animal from a rare collector. You can be horse lords that are riding through an area like Chinggis Khan and trying to take over, or trying to stop the horse lords by working with the city. And there's a lot of different ideas. So we're hitting some ideas. Now you can do a mountain set of adventures, like a Switzerland, where you're stuck up in the mountains. What could possibly go wrong in the mountains, right? Freezing conditions, lack of oxygen, large avalanche conditions, mountains erupting. There's so much you can do with the mountains. And so many civilizations have hidden things in mountains. It could be a crashed starcraft that you're trying to recover in a space campaign. In Solomon Kane, you could be trying to find a lost temple hidden in the mountains. For a superhero campaign, you can be trying to find a layer up there of creatures that have been coming down and messing with the population. You could be simply climbing the mountains to go through and try to find an old monastery. You could be looking for a hill or stone giant enclave. You could be looking for a lost, ruinish empire that has great magic and conditions that they built upon a mountain. There are so many things you can do. And the great thing about mountains is you got the climbing skills, you got the avalanches, you got falling conditions, you have treacherous effects to breathing and cold to body, and even effects of the bends as you get so high up in the altitudes. There's so many things that you can do to really, really have fun with your players on these different themes. So I've hit a lot of the themes. What's another one? Planet hopping. I love those kind of themes where you go through a solar system and find out that the other 4 planets in your solar system are all habited. And it's all a little different effect, but you can survive in each one of these. So you could have a world of the dead, a world of the Daleks, a world of the Cybermen, a world of unknown creatures like the Ood. You could have a world of creatures like in Pathfinder, the Kasatha, or the Lost Elven Kingdom on a world. Maybe the elves aren't from that world. Maybe the gnomes aren't. Maybe the gnomes have a kingdom world somewhere on there. All kinds of different things you can do with this. You could have technology. You could have traces of technology. You can have old technology. You can have no technology. You could have lost magic. You could have footprints of the gods and goddesses that you didn't notice because they touched other worlds and maybe had impact on those cultures. You can be in search of so many different things. You could do like a Spelljammers, where you're taking a ship and putting it into an atmospheric bubble. And it's a regular ship that goes out in the ocean, and you're flying through space. And you have to develop spell cannons that allow you to shoot spells instead of cannon. That way you can affect things that are out there. And there are a lot of things, believe me. In Pathfinder, they've given you so many things that float around out in space as creatures that it's amazing what you can run into. You could be trying to find the dark veil of Cthulhu and stop Cthulhu by going through space to find the home planet and not try to go crazy as you do. So much that is so rich. And yet we limit ourselves, I think, sometimes to the same old, let's go explore a dungeon. Let's go talk at a tavern. Let's do this. Don't get me wrong. There's fun to that, and there's enjoyment. But at the same time, think outside the box. Create for your players, transform. There's so many different things that you can do. Alternate realities, superhero worlds, villain worlds. Keep in mind that all these things play a part in your campaign. And you can make your campaign whatever flavor or theme you want. The sky is truly the limit. What you have to have is a kind of toolbox of different places to go. What I suggest is this, and hear me out. I wish I had a whiteboard I could draw all this up here, but I'm going to go through it with you. Number 1, pick the theme. Number 2, under the theme, write down 25 ideas for that theme of what plots could be, or different types of adventures that could be done inside that. If you have to go to different books, look outside the box, walk around a bookstore and pick up different sci-fi and other books and read the back cover that tells you a little bit about it, because sometimes that'll spark your ideas. Watch a couple movies. Watch some series on anime or other things where you see some sky's the limit. Watch some of the old Chinese one like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and some of the themes there. You can do a lot with a lot of different things. You notice I haven't hit cultures. I haven't hit types of worlds. I haven't talked about a system. I'm just talking themes and ideas. And so for me, as I go through themes and ideas, I want you guys to really embrace what you need to do. So number 1, write down the theme, write down 25 ideas. Then write down beside each why. Why would the players be drawn into this? Because you've got to come up with a theme that's going to draw them. And then put a where, or what type of theme. Do I want sci-fi? Do I want superhero? What do I want? So these are the things that we're going to do and go through. Hang on a second, Bug. Thanks again, guys. I hope this gave you some great ideas on themes. Keep this in mind as you're doing this. This is going to help you to have many, many unique campaigns as you go forward. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.